This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Don't follow our X's, though. They're often quite bitter. And you can email us via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
I like that, the collective X's of the show.
Well, you just imagine if you got our X's together, there'd be quite a lot of vitriol.
You think? Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be a show in itself.
I tend to leave a barren wasteland behind me.
Yeah, I like the scorched earth policy.
Yeah, I know. It's, we all come away wounded.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. So I'm sorry I haven't been here the last 2 weeks. I say that to anyone who's noticed, because I've had, as it said on my lab results, influenza A. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to give you this is not a multiple choice illness where there's influenza A, pneumonia, B. No. It's,
You didn't get a year assigned to your flu, though. You know how they do that?
No, I didn't
the
get a year.
1914 or whatever.
Oh.
You know when they do that?
That's true, yeah.
I didn't know they did that.
Like
no.
wine. They go, oh, that was a good year.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard people slightly boasting, saying, well, I had the 1914.
No, mine was slightly corked, I think. So anyway, I'm off my sick bed and I'm tempted to say, I'm back, you're on the right track. As a matter of fact, I'm back, but you can't say that anymore. So my first outing, apart from several gigs, I did most of the gigs I was due to do because the show must go on, as I think Freddie Mercury once said. And then broke his own rule, of course. I finally had a social outing, and even though I still felt quite ill, my partner dragged me to. Can you guess where my partner dragged me?
I think I can guess.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't ABBA related.
I went
was it?
on yet another voyage.
I mean, the fact that Pierre and I both guessed that.
I know. I mean, that's my second and her fifth.
That's mad.
ABBA voyage.
Although, to be fair, I mean, you could get as close as possible and the holograms would never get sick
No.
from you.
That's true. Well, I'm no longer allergic. I should make that clear in case there's anyone switching their radio off in panic. So we went again. I have to say, there is something incredibly satisfying about raising your hands as high as you can and waving them side to side to the rhythmic pulsing of the chorus of Chiquitita.
Oh.
Da 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 dum. Wave, 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 wave. It's your individuality evaporates, and the audience become like a box of maggots. Mm-hmm. It's really quite. It's how I imagine the Russian Revolution must have felt in its early days.
They should put all this on the poster. I think I would go if I saw.
Yeah,
You will become as to a box of maggots.
Your individuality evaporates, Frank Skinner.
Or when they do the ... dots in quotes on posters.
Yeah.
Individuality evaporates ... box of maggots ... Russian Revolution. I'm there.
It's up there with very cruel. You know what, Frank? I need Kath to help me get over my fear, because I'm really frightened of holograms. I really don't like them. I need to go with her to this.
Well, I would love to take some. I want to take a Martian, really, and sit with them at the back.
I'll go.
And see if they notice that it isn't real people up there.
Yes, you need someone.
For me, the only clue is when you get like big shots of them on the screen, close-ups. I think Agneta, what we used to call the blonde one.
We didn't know.
I think she said, "Oh, I've got like bags under my eyes," and they've said, "No, but that's what you had in 1974." And she said, "Yeah, I don't care what I had in 1974. I want those
Get
gone."
rid of the bags.
So she looks, for me, a bit computer game. The others look really authentic. But I think she's allowed vanity to step in the way of reality. We've all done it. I'm trying to think of an occasion when I've done it, but I can't.
I'm not sure you have done it, actually.
No, I don't think I have. There was something, though, that I noticed about one of their greatest hits, which has been nagging at me ever since, this is the thing about going there twice, of course. You start studying the finer point.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Anyway,
You were
we were
telling
just
us about
talking
ABBA.
about the fact that they could have a one-off channel on Absolute called ABBA-salute radio, in which it was just a salute to ABBA. Maybe on some anniversary or something. Just a little tip there for our bosses. Last time I suggested Absolute Now, which was modern music.
Yeah.
I got a text from the boss saying, yeah, well, we actually do something that is not called that, but it's the same thing.
That was so embarrassing when you did that.
Oops.
I saw a sign advertising beds. And
Golf-
it was
golf
Absolute
stuff. Golf
Zeds.
sale.
A golf sale.
Yeah.
It kept spinning. I couldn't read it.
Yeah. What did you see?
It was advertising like a mattress or bed company or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like something like how to get your absolute Zeds, like your sleep.
Oh,
But I did think absolute Zeds could be. A lot of people listen to podcasts to go to sleep.
People say that to me, yeah. I think,
you find it
I think the
insulting?
poetry podcast is safe as houses to get people to sleep.
It's always,
What
I mean,
an
I know
insult.
it comes from a good place, but people will often say that. Yeah, yeah, I love having it on the show when I'm.
They say it about this show. I listen
Yeah.
to it and yeah, it sends me to sleep.
Yeah, absolute Zeds.
Great.
Could be a new channel.
What do they use for fun? Whale music. Anyway, what I noticed, I was listening in detail to the popular Eurovision contest winner, Waterloo,
Yes.
which I guess was ABBA's big break internationally.
Yeah.
And it's partly about the Battle of Waterloo, and it begins, my, as many people must have said at battles, obviously. My, at Waterloo, Napoleon did surrender. That's how it begins.
Yeah.
But I noticed, listening to the song, that the Duke of Wellington never gets a mention in the song, and he won. He won the Battle of Waterloo, and he doesn't get the name check.
The
And
disrespect.
the winner takes it all. We've been reliably informed by ABBA.
well, obviously unreliable. The winner doesn't even get mentioned. It's sort of. I remember it's one of the first times for many years I've thought of Matt Cardle. Matt Cardle, do you know who that is, Pierre?
Do you know that?
Exactly. Because he won X Factor
Oh no.
when One Direction came third.
Yes.
Oh, that
It's
So,
is
one
of
of
course,
those.
One Direction, One Direction, One
It
Direction.
is a terrible
And
crown.
Matt Cardle is the Duke of Wellington. Yeah, forgotten.
Do you think that it's the case that ABBA just are of the opinion that the real winner was General Blücher, the Prussian?
Well, they don't mention
At
him either.
Waterloo. But there's a mixed legacy.
He's the one who wore the white boots, so he had an influence on ABBA. He was the one who wore the white boots, wasn't he, Blücher?
Blücher?
Yeah.
I thought he was a
think he-
cavalryman.
Yeah, I think he was famous. He wore white boots. A bit like many
Strange
years
fashion
ago.
debate.
Yeah.
Alan Ball, the Everton midfielder, wore white boots when everyone wore black football boots. So
Yeah.
he said, because I know sometimes they need to find me desperately to help them, the other teammates. And I think Blücher had a similar thing. If they'll see my white boots and feel safe. If I've made this up, then I'm... Anyway, it was a lovely evening at ABBA Voyage and ended with my favourite end to every evening. Any
Oh.
offers?
I like the sound of this.
Free tote bag.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, Ruth Jordan, one of our regulars.
Of course, I haven't forgotten Ruth. I've had 2 weeks off. I haven't forgotten Ruth Jordan.
Morning all. Good to have you back, Frank. Those
Thank
are
you, Ruth.
Ruth's words, but, you know, I also feel them. As Frank has now been to ABBA Voyage twice, I wondered,
Here we
brace
go.
yourself, whether he'd consider giving, I can't even say the word, Hamilton another go. Over to you, Frank Skinner.
Well, no.
Your witness.
The difference is I liked ABBA Voyage first time.
Oh, dear.
Hamilton was, I thought I can sit at home with run-of-the-mill hip-hop on the radio and read Wikipedia, and it's the same experience.
That's true. Or if there was some sort of rhyming Wikipedia put together using a kind of rhyming dictionary.
Oh, don't remind me. So she started a fabulous orphanage, the first in New York City. What are you doing? This is not what it's about. It's about you have to do stuff with the word.
It would be so devastating to stand up in the front row of a show and say, "What are you doing?"
You know, I had this experience.
I like Frank. I like the idea of Frank going into the rehearsal saying, "Lynn, what are you doing?"
I had this experience. Look, I know a lot of people love it, and I have to respect anything that's much loved. But it just passed me. So I've had certain, most of all of those things when you're in an audience and you're looking around you and think, "What are you liking? What is it you're liking that I can't see?"
Turning around to face them, the audience.
Yeah.
What are you liking?
What are you liking?
What can you see that I cannot see?
Although I did turn around to do that, and Amanda Holden just looked at me in a kind of a, "What's happening? Can you tell me why people like this?" So I found another.
At least you found a friend.
Experience.
That's nice.
But I had a similar experience. Remember, it's been a long time since I last did the show, but I had to take my dog to a gig because Kath was away, and I didn't want to leave the dog on its own all night. So I did a gig in Maidenhead, and no smirking at the back. And I took my dog, and there was a point where I looked around in the wings, and Omar, our tour manager, was there, and the dog also. And the dog was looking at... I was on stage, you got me mic, there's a crowd, it's a full house. The dog's looking at me like, "What on earth are you doing? What are you doing?" It was the most... I actually took a picture. I'll put the picture up.
It's a great picture.
I should say Paul Thomas Walsh had actually been in touch regarding this.
Oh.
Was desperate to know. He said, Frank mentioned he was heading to a gig in Maidenhead with... And then what I liked is he says, "the dog."
Yes. Well, that's what I always call it, the dog.
How
I don't
did
use its
the
name
dog
much.
enjoy this particular comedy adventure?
Well, I'll tell you a bit about it after.
Okay.
I think we have a natural break. But I'll put the picture I saw of the dog and Omar, each looking at me from the wings with slightly different expressions.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, yes, I took my dog to a gig. My dog likes to travel with its head out of the window in cars. It does that thing.
Yes.
So I wasn't driving, obviously, because the tour manager takes care of that. But I have that thing when I'm driving that I'm on the motorway or something. And I look in the wing mirror, and I can see the dog actually experiencing G-force. The face, the lips stretch back and the ears straight, but still doing it.
Yeah.
So
something about having your entire face pulled backwards is just the dog's favourite thing.
Yeah, well, obviously it's become very popular in the showbiz for a term.
I was going to say, it seemed to be my favourite thing.
Yeah, but it'd be much easier to just look out of a car window on the motorway and hope it sticks.
Yes, and to quickly put some crocodile clips on the back of your
I
head.
think that you should do that. If you're a Hollywood actor, just say, I will only be in films that involve me being in a fast-moving vehicle.
That thing about... what was that thing that James Corden did when you sang karaoke, carpool karaoke?
Oh, yeah.
That could have been the initial idea, that people would go on it and say, "Oh yeah, I'd like that because that makes me look younger, that wind in my face."
Well, I know these people who wear, your high buns. I know your tricks.
Oh,
I know what you're doing with your high ponytails.
The other similarity between dogs and plastic surgery LA people is that you shouldn't leave them in a hot car.
No, that's true. Look what happened to Laika when they forgot to leave the window open on his space capsule.
I can't, but please don't even mention that. It's very triggering.
Yeah. Anyway, when I said I got Omar to phone up and say, "Can Frank bring his dog?" And they said about this for 2024. They said, "Well, 2 members of staff are allergic, so." Can you keep the dog in the dressing room? I said, "Oh, look, I'll just Scotch guard it." So that's what I did. I just sprayed it over, keep the dander in.
Can I say you didn't do that?
Yeah. So it's got like arrived in a sort of hard plastic shell, like a 70s pensioner who's just had a shampoo and set.
So was that the rule? You had to keep him...
Her.
Her, I'm sorry.
Yeah, pronouns very
I know,
important
you said
nowadays.
this to me on the pod.
Did you just say to the venue manager, well, I promise not to rub my dog on any of the staff?
No, I just thought, is what I thought. And then the dog went in the wings. I mean, it didn't get close enough to anyone to infect them. Anyway, went to the gig, and I've put a picture up on our... what's it called? Social media.
Yeah.
And you can see the view of the dog watching me from the wings, which is a peculiar image. Can I ask you a question which might betray me as someone who's been breaking the law for 40-odd years?
Okay.
Oh.
How comfortable do you feel about this, Pierre? We'll soon find out.
Depends on the scale of the crime.
You know when you see... the maximum national speed limit sign?
Yeah.
Which is white with a black bar across it.
Yes.
I have taken that my whole life to mean you can drive at 70 miles an hour now. And then someone said to me, no, doesn't mean that. You get it on small country lanes. And I said, well, yeah, but I still drive at 70 miles an hour when I see it.
That's 60, isn't it?
No, but someone said to me, no, it means other. Sometimes it just means like the maximum speed limit for a road like this. It can't mean that, can it?
Well, the trouble is that I grew up and learned to drive on the Isle of Man, where that sign means there is no speed limit.
Oh.
Even if it is a tiny country lane.
Yeah.
So it just means, see what you can do.
As someone who did a speed awareness course recently,
Oh, yes.
I can exclusively reveal that I have no idea what the answer to that question is.
Well, I've just been... when I see I hit the pedal, and I think I might have been doing a bad thing, but one of our very smart listeners, stroke readers, will know the answer to that.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
By the way, have you noticed this phenomenon now? I think it might be part of the clickbait phenomenon. When it says how many words are in people's messages. Have you
what's
seen
that?
this?
What's
So
that?
you say, Dave Wellings issues a 5-word message on his feud with blah. Is that supposed to draw us in? You're supposed to think, oh, well, I've got time for 5 words.
No,
I'll
I
have a
think
look
it
at
is that because some they have on some content websites, as I believe they're called now.
Oh, yeah. What, as opposed to what? Websites with no content?
Yeah, well, exactly.
There are plenty of those.
But they'll have something at the top saying 4-minute read, 2-minute read, or
okay.
7-minute read.
That's very handy. isn't it?
Yes. I always thought the 5-word thing is the number of words to me implies that about half of them are obscenities.
Oh.
Like a
I thought
4-letter word.
They could say Dave Wellings is brusque. They could say that, but they don't say that. They say an issue they use, like issues of 5. Does he issue it?
They never say Dave Wellings gives short shrift.
Types a 5-word message is what they should say.
Types.
Issues it. Who is he? Lord Beaverbrook. I don't know. I have fallen for it. I've really started to fight the clickbait.
Have you?
Yeah, because on football things you get it a lot, like West Brom with Ronaldo link.
But you
And
haven't
then you look
fallen-
it up, and there's an Albion player who was on a train that Ronaldo was on
Oh, no.
2 years ago.
Also, that you'll never believe what happened next. When you keep clicking through, I've fallen victim to those.
Oh,
keep
man.
clicking
Why
the
do
arrows.
we keep falling? You know, the wedding photos they weren't allowed to show.
I just never click on anything.
Have you
Oh,
seen the
that's the
dog
right
one,
way.
Frank? Oh,
What's
I've
that?
gone down the dog hole.
Yes.
where it
They
says
thought it was a dog.
they thought you'll never believe what they were told. Obviously, I'm going to click on that because
Okay.
there's a picture of something that looks like a weird slug alien.
Or like a white poodle in a kind of well.
Yes.
Yeah,
think-
well, that
but it
sounds
looks
all
like-
right.
but you think-
Oh, no, you're drawing me in. Poodling well, you say?
But it looks like it's under the water, it looks like, and you think, but there is a dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you go in?
Isn't that
I
what?
looked at it, but I didn't
So
click
did
it.
I.
That'll be a dog looking over the top of a well,
A narcissist
there being
dog.
a reflection.
Yeah.
And it
a dog
always
that
ends in
loves
the
itself
same
a bit
way.
too much.
It
Yeah.
always ends with the vet saying.
It's all right. I know what a narcissist is. You don't have to explain it.
It ended, Frank, with the vet saying, "How dare you? You should have told me." There was an argument with the vet. What was the upshot?
They
What
say
was
things
it, a
like,
dog?
and the vet is revolted, and so people click it because they want to know why the vet was revolted.
Oh,
but
no.
you must.
I'd
but
be
you can
worried
see,
about that might be something really horrible.
But because they're always in the same shaped box, you can always see that it's just a nonsense link to nothing.
Yeah, but I always fall for
So do I.
these bridesmaids upstage the bride. I always fall for those kind of seedy, dark ones like
Yeah.
that. Oh, dogging well, I don't know. That's me.
Do you know what?
But upstaging bridesmaids,
Sure.
yeah. You know, you got to have a hobby.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or you can email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Many have. Here is the evidence.
We have. I mean, I'm going to call it a very our readers, which is anything to do with the national speed limit.
Oh, yeah.
They do like getting in touch about that.
Have I been breaking the law for 40-odd years?
Well, we've had a number of people getting in touch. I've singled out two contributions, which I particularly liked. Jeff Featherstone.
He sounds like he'll know.
He sounds like he runs the speed awareness course.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jeff Featherstone.
Yeah,
I'm your
I know,
speed awareness course
I
instructor.
can see
It's
that.
one of those double names of someone who gets referred to by their full name in the office at all times. Oh, just
Yeah, well, ask Jeff Featherstone.
get Jeff Featherstone across this. And
Yeah,
then,
I mean, I don't know, Jeff, what you're like, but you just sound like very reliable.
yeah.
Do you know what? I would really trust you, Jeff,
Yeah.
to give me directions.
Certainly to know about the national speed limit.
He knows everything about roads, Jeff.
Let's hear it.
Okay, here we go. Hi, starts Jeff.
Okay. Oh, well, he's let me down a bit.
Yeah, what were you hoping for?
Well, I didn't think he'd sound like a cast member from Glee.
It's because he's
I
in a
thought
rush.
he'd begin so.
Oh, yeah. And gesture with both hands.
No,
So.
I would have gone for an
I
FYI.
like Keir Starmer. Every picture I see of Keir Starmer talking to people, he seems to be talking about the big fish that got away.
He didn't begin with the Simon Cowell. Well, look.
Yeah, no. Anyway.
Anyway, Jeff begins. Hi. The national speed limit is 60 miles an hour on single-lane carriageways and 70 miles an hour on dual carriageways.
Okay.
Unless it is a built-up area with street lights, in which case it is 30 miles per hour. Jeff has also included a link to gov.uk.
Oh, that's
And that's
nice.
what I love about Jeff.
Confident.
But but you get street lights on quite big dual carriageways, don't you?
Yeah, and built up area, yeah. It's vague.
I'm just going to stick with driving at 70 mile an hour when I see it.
See what happens.
Just to back,
and the devil take the hindmost.
just to back Jeff up, Nat in the Wild.
Do you think anyone at a speed awareness course has ever said, and the devil take the hindmost?
Now look, Mr. Wellesley.
No, but what about when I did the speed awareness course recently? And you do it on Zoom.
You've done
now.
it twice, haven't you?
All right.
All right.
All right, Mr. 70 miles an hour on a...
That's something you became aware.
Anyway, I did it recently, and you do it on the Zoom now, of course. You don't go to the hotel.
Oh, no, why
Have you
not?
ever done it in a hotel?
That is a very big question. How long have you got?
So sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Frank.
And I must admit, my speed awareness was
Oh my.
My antennae was raised on my speed awareness.
Yes,
Carry on.
It used to be in a terrible hotel, and now they do it on Zoom.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Well, you
Because
see-
didn't you get to meet
Oh, it
different
was
people?
fascinating.
Yeah.
It was like some brilliant Radio 4 play where all these people came together.
yeah,
and
like Agatha Christie.
all joined by our crime,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And all linked by the crime. It was very Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah,
And then they do it on the Zoom
but
now.
on the Orient Expressway.
National speed limit
I don't know
applies.
if you can say Orient anymore, can you?
No, you can in the context of
Okay, fine.
you know.
But you can still say Leighton Orient. So
Yeah.
it's still around.
So, but now they do it and you get singled out. So the woman pointed to me at one point, they'll ask questions, and she said, Emily, can you tell us, would the national speed limit apply? Here's a photograph. And then they gave me some options, and I said, is it 30 miles an hour? And you know what she said? I got the answer wrong. She went, oh, bless you.
Oh,
it's 60.
no. Unawareness.
Yeah.
Bless your unawareness. Bless your unaware little heart.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so sweet.
It was so shaming.
And did you say I've already done one and I still don't know that? You're just not listening, are you? You're on your phone. I know what people are like now in classes. They're on their phones.
Yeah.
They're looking at TikTok things of dogs smoking and stuff like that. Oh, the world.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
195 has been in touch, a bit more anonymous than the Jeff Featherstones of this world.
Yeah.
Dearest Frank et al., you are obliged not to have a phone in sight on speed awareness courses, and if it rings or buzzes, you are asked to leave with nil points for attendance.
Oh.
We were told on several occasions, at one point, one of the other Zoomites,
Yeah.
you could hear family members go, I've told you, go there, in the background. And the speed awareness instructor didn't like it. She said, I'm sorry, could you please, I will have to ask you to tell those people to refrain from shouting, or I will have to ask you to leave the course.
Oh, kicked off the Zoom.
He can't help his wife
That
shouting at
is-
him.
That is strict.
It gives me terrible flashbacks to lockdown Zoom comedy gigs, doing gigs on Zoom. You'd have to explain to the audience over and over again, you must mute yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a
then
guy.
you don't hear them laughing.
The solution that was arrived at was that you would have a reliable digital front row of 10 to 15 good laughers
Oh,
who were
God.
gig regulars, and then
Synthetic.
the other sort of 200 people muted. Because one guy, it's obviously also, if they haven't set the room up right, whoever speaks or makes noise then fills the screen. And you'd have a guy making a smoothie with his blender, and he'd fill the screen while the comedian was on. And he'd have left the gig on in the background. You'd just see a man in his kitchen, shirtless and hunched, making
Oh,
a smoothie.
Oh, that's
Shirtless
so
and hunched
depressing.
is one of the best double acts I ever saw.
And now a fine legal firm.
People never get the lighting right on Zoom. They make no
No.
effort. What about when they leave it all dark and shadowy? Come on.
Why is the only awareness course speed? There's lots of other crimes that people could be
Murder
talked
awareness.
out of. Yeah.
Murderers bad guys.
What about there's an agency that pursues men who don't pay their child support.
Is it CSA, I believe? Yeah.
They could have a seed awareness course where people
Oh
are told
my
about
God, Frank.
the responsibilities and implications of casual liaison.
Greed awareness course for
Yeah.
bankers,
Although-
inside traders.
531, as 531 has pointed out, is speed awareness on something called Zoom sending out the right kind of message.
That's very good. That is very good. I think you have a career in comedy awaiting you.
Yes.
But don't call me. You've got to go on. I'm afraid you've got to go on your own in this crazy old world. Okay. I meant the world of comedy, not world. Generally, obviously, people help in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've sorted out the speed limit. I'm sticking with my former thing and hoping for the best.
Okay.
It never seemed quite right to me, that 70 mile an hour on a winding single country track.
No.
I like that it's taken you this long to work out what maybe you were speeding.
I find that country people drive 70 miles an hour everywhere.
Yes.
And
They drive
are
as they
often
wish.
drunk.
That's-
So I think the countries are different. It's just different rules apply.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember one of my mother's friends, who shall remain nameless, who is a country dweller, and she drove us home one night and she got into the back of the car. And I thought that
no.
wasn't a good sign.
No, I think when you've got a very, very moddy car, you start worrying about its welfare and those contained within it. It's just so muddy. You think, oh, who cares? Who cares anymore? Let's just
over the cliff.
yeah,
The dirt is a badge of honour for the country folk
yeah,
on
of
the
course,
car.
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. If there's any country folk listening, by the way, I don't know if you've got reception, but we do love and respect you. We're just talking about your different ways.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Mike, I don't know if this gentleman is called Mike, fishing in the countryside, or Mike fishing, in the countryside. It's just the importance of punctuation here. It changes
Yeah.
everything.
I've never heard of anyone called fishing.
Oh, okay.
Can you think of a fishing?
No, but there is Cushing. That's the closest I've ever come to fishing.
Yeah,
But anyway, Mike, fishing.
yeah.
Good morning, Frank, and the other beautiful people.
Nice.
I'm already all over Mike
Well,
fishing.
we're all God's children.
Yes.
I am a country boy.
Money have I none, but I've got treasure in the stars and gold in the morning sun.
I'm afraid we don't accept that here, sir.
Oh, okay. Can I just go back to my car? No, I need you to stay in.
But last night I
Your
was
car's
driving
very muddy.
slowly in London town, off to see
In London town.
off to see a show with my surprise, the great Pierre Novelli, as a warm-up act.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as I left the city limits, I was flat out crazy speed.
Okay.
So once he felt back in the bosom of
Countryside.
nature,
Yeah.
it was time to.
I
He's
think
being
it's-
he's being coy because I think I know what show he's referring to.
I think, could it be as well if you spend so much time in your day behind a tractor that when you get an open road, you
Yes.
absolutely go crazy?
You've
Do
got
you
to make the
think so?
most of it. You've
Yeah.
got to make them. And then when there's no sheep in the road.
Oh, yeah. Song sheep, as they call it in the countryside.
683 says, hello, Frank and team. On awareness courses, my colleagues and I are to be subjected to a fire awareness course due to lackluster performance during drills.
They're not firefighters, are they?
I hope not.
No.
I do hope not. But I do like the idea of going on a fire awareness course.
Also,
Fire, led by Frankenstein. Fire bad.
Yeah.
We need you all to know this is fire is bad.
Fire bag.
I
Fire
don't.
bad. Run away.
Muppets giving a fire awareness course.
I don't like swaggering at a fire drill, though. Some people think,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not, I didn't take my time. You think, oh, no, just play the game. I'm not impressed by the fact that you think, no, I'm not, I know it's not real.
I've worked out that this isn't a real fire.
No, because it happens. Like if I phone my management company on Tuesday morning, there's a fire drill at 11 o'clock every morning. Now, if you wanted to destroy my management company, and there's several comedians who used to be there who do, set fire to it at around 10:30 on a Tuesday morning, and people will just sit there and perish because that's when they get their drill. So I don't know if I should. What if that happens now? I'm going to feel terrible about
I
it.
feel awful, Frank.
Yeah. As long as my financial records are safe.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Okay.
We've heard from someone regarding my past comments on the disturbing nature of British kids TV. I commented that British kids television, South African kids TV was very Americanized, very Hollywood. And when I moved here, I was horrified to discover that the kids TV seemed to feature largely sort of handmade flaps of cloth filmed in a
Right.
shed somewhere.
Right.
With a budget of about £7.
And always a puppet handler with a cravat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was quite disturbed by it. And this is sent by, it's signed off Who's Asking, which I respect.
Yeah.
No praise here, you'd only redact it anyway. Listening the other day, I was amused by Pierre's comment about the disturbing nature of DIY creatures. Had he arrived in the UK a couple of decades earlier, he would have seen pipkins featuring Hartley hair,
Oh, yes.
whose design was surely inspired by some puppet maker's memory of a pleasant bit of gardening being ruined when he dug in the wrong place and unearthed the remains of the long-departed family rabbit. If you are unsettled by the Tipton Slashers monkey, do not Google Hartley hair.
Well, Hartley hair, I had a flashback to Hartley hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Frankie Boyle's TV show, Something Nights. It was a drug name that I can't
I'm
remember.
afraid it was. Am I allowed to say the name of it?
You can say
Tramadol,
it,
I believe.
Tramadol.
I believe it was Tramadol.
Yes,
right?
exactly. There was a sketch in it in which a sort of magical rabbit appeared to some children and then was tortured by them. And I still now have flashbacks of images. It is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen on television.
The sketch
And you've
of Hartley
seen
hair.
some things. in
Yeah,
your
and it
time.
literally kept me awake. It was. I still think. Whenever I've met Frankie Boyle, he seemed like a really nice man. He sent me a poetry book, but the fact that came from his mind worries me.
Well,
And this is from the man that wrote Shane too.
Well, I've googled Hartley hair, and yes, it's revolting. It's a distressing.
I
flapping-
liked Hartley hair because it had a Birmingham accent, as I
Did it?
recall. I think so. Yeah.
Yes, I think it did, Frank.
Yeah.
First celebrity Brummy.
Well, not the
Hartley hair?
first. I don't
Who was
think.
the first celebrity Brummy? 8, 12,
I think
15.
there was a woman on Jukebox Jury called Marilyn, was she?
Did she say, I'll give it 5?
She said, I'll give it 5. Yeah, and that became a national catchphrase.
So was
she was
she a celebrity or a member of the public?
Well, what's the difference nowadays?
Yeah.
She was the first.
She was one of the first to let the velvet rope.
Do they all just leap the velvet rope now?
I think now, who's the big... I once turned up at a restaurant where there was paparazzi outside, and they said, all right, Frank, no photos were taken. And then a woman arrived behind me, and it was like an electrical storm of photography. And I said, who is that? And they said she came third in Britain's Next Top Model.
Gosh.
And I thought, so that's where we are.
So this is it.
Yeah, I can relax, and these people can take over all the sort of dull celebrity work of having your photo took and going to clubs
Yeah.
and all being photographed pretending you don't know that they're filming you on a beach when they've actually paid for your holiday. These people have arrived to take that from us. We can get on with some proper work.
You and Hartley hair can go for noodles. For
Exactly. People like Hartley, who was a genuine performer.
Do you know Hartley had a lot of integrity?
Yeah. I think he wasn't he related to David Hare, the playwright? I think they're a bit of
What
a
a niche
dynasty,
joke.
a theatrical
David
dynasty.
Hare jokes on Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
353 has got in touch. We were asking a question earlier, Pierre, which was, who was the first? I think you were asking who was the first
Celebrity Brummy.
celebrity Brummy. A fine question. And 353 has attempted to answer it. Dear Frank and colleagues, I like colleagues. It's
Yeah.
quite Jeff Featherstone.
Yeah,
Jeff
it is.
should have gone for the colleagues. Sure. I like his confidence. Sure. First celebrity Brummy was Matthew Bolton. Who's that?
Well, Matthew Bolton was an engineer who was a central figure in the Industrial Revolution as it manifested in Birmingham. There's a statue of Murdoch, Watt and Bolton outside Birmingham. Well, it used to be outside Birmingham Registry Office, and somebody had the idea of painting it absolutely as gold paint comes. Like a C-3PO had got two brothers, and they met up at last. And it's three men looking at like a scroll, like, you know, it's probably a blueprint of a steam engine or something of that nature.
We've
But
had,
I would think there would be earlier ones than Matthew
Yeah.
Bolton.
we've had some contradictory information about Hartley Hare.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is this Paul
Oh, it's not
Cornell?
going to be no longer with
Well.
us.
Well, what about
Worse.
share Paul Cornell, which is French to know, so he should know what he's talking about. Yeah.
Paul Gonner. He says, "Hi all. I hate to contradict, but I remember Hartley Hare being quite posh. Unfortunately, it was Pig who had a Brummie accent.
Oh,
And to make
yes.
matters worse, his catchphrase was, 'My name's Pig and I like food.'
Say what you
Yes.
see, Pig.
All right, Pig.
I think you're absolutely
I do
right.
apologise.
No, that was my fault. I gave Hartley Hare the... I'm trying to find the
I've looked up,
corrections jingle, but I can't find
I'll
it.
tell you what.
I've looked up Pig and he's got horrible dead button eyes.
know, but-
Brace yourself for one of the worst mixed jingles that's ever happened on radio. Correczione, correczione, ole, ole, ole. It's at the early days of the radio jingle.
Yeah. So it was Pig.
It
That's
was
a bit
Pig
rude.
that had the
My name's
Birmingham.
Pig and I like food.
Yeah,
Not a lot of
stereotyping.
not a lot of depth and analysis possible with Pig's character.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
remembering that because Hartley Hare was a little bit more. Yeah, it was a bit more refined. Hartley Hare.
Aristocratic.
Yeah, they was very cruel to the way they portrayed Pig. I felt.
Very
well,
old
in the
school.
end, there was a murder in one of the episodes, and they threw it into Pig's sty, and there was a big thing about even the teeth. I remember was
Can I just
what
say?
they said.
Can I just reassure everyone that never, please.
My name's Pig and I like food. As
Yeah.
the body
I know.
disappeared.
Even the teeth.
Between this
Even the
and
teeth became his catchphrase on the show.
even the teeth.
Even the teeth.
Children going around the playgrounds shouting, "Even the teeth."
Yes, it was. I thought it was a mistake. That was Jumping the Shark episode.
Hang on, Frank. Why was it called Pipkin then? Who was Pipkin? I thought we had Hartley
It was
Hare
called
and Pig.
Pipkins, I believe.
Okay,
And I
I
think
don't
I don't know who that collective group
Okay.
were, unless that.
But between Hartley Hare and Pig and Biffo the Bear, I'm astonished anyone slept.
Can I
for
say
decades.
Biffo?
Well,
This
they
country.
didn't. They were on all sorts of.
Biffo the Bear was not on Pipkins. Can we
No,
make
no,
that
no,
clear
but
before we get loads.
I
of-
just mean in general these disgusting looking animals.
Well, it's all subjective, of course.
Okay. Can I just share
know.
very briefly this suggestion with you? Lee Delaware, what about Catholic confirmation classes? Would they be a creed awareness course?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
that's good. I like that a lot. I think they're so clever for our readers. I love them.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Here's the thing. On the 4th of February,
I was home.
I was home. I watched the first half of Back to the Future 2.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't make neither head nor tail of what was happening.
Was
the
this
plot.
when they actually go back? They go to the future instead of the past?
They go... No, they go
Yes.
all over the place. They
Oh.
go to where they originally did the car thing, and then they go back to the 50s.
Yeah, but
and
that's
it's
no
all
form
over.
of slogan, Frank. You can't say Back to the Future 2, they go all over the place.
No. Anyway, I was very confused. On the 17th of February, some 13 days later, I watched it, and it was totally clear to me, the whole thing. Thought, oh, yeah, this is what's happening. And I've long had a theory that films and timing is very important. For example, when I was about 13, I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and thought it was one of the best things I'd ever seen. Then I watched it when I was about 25 and thought it was hogwash.
Oh.
Vice versa, I saw Apocalypse Now when I was about 11 and I was so bored. I just sat thinking about other things in the cinema. Then I watched it when I was about 25, thought it was a masterpiece. I just think with films, we all think, oh, I like that film or I don't like that film, but I think you've got to hit it on the right day.
It's so dependent. Indeed, and did nothing happen in between those two February dates to change your You didn't happen to glance at the Wikipedia page for
No.
Back to the Future 2?
No, I had influenza, but I don't think that cleared anything up in my brain.
I do know, I completely know what you mean, because The Goonies, for example, I walked out of that. One of the few films I've walked out of when I was about 15, I believe. I'd gone with a load of friends. I thought, I can't watch this. It's
Really?
ridiculous. And it was just so silly. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Heaven forbid.
Pirates, and I just thought, well, it's all made up. So I walked out, watched it recently. One of the greatest films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, I tried The Goonies about a year ago.
How'd you find it?
Couldn't get through it.
When were you out? When did you go, no, I'm out?
Oh, I would say
I was-
25 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, that's
Really?
about when
But
I
what-
walked out,
But
Frank.
what moment? Was there a moment where you went, well, this is too much?
There was a
These
moment
children are
when
ridiculous.
I was more inclined to watch the inside of my eyelids than The Goonies.
Yeah.
And I'd been to a talk given by Jodie Whittaker in which she named her favourite films and The Goonies was like her jewel in the crown.
Yeah.
I don't know. I preferred it when I came back to it.
Clearly, if you walked
yes.
out the first time.
As a 15-year-old.
But there's some I've loved, like Man with Two Brains, a Steve Martin film. I thought it was the funniest film I'd ever seen. And then I made the mistake of saying to Kath, you got to watch this.
Oh.
It's the funniest film you've ever seen. And then I watched it and I knew she was thinking, what? And then I was thinking, what? And oh, man.
It's the worst, nervously glancing at someone to see if they're laughing yet.
You know, there's an old Greek philosophical thing that you can't step into the same river twice because the river has moved on and changed, and you've changed as well. I think that's true of films. That's what I'm saying.
Can't watch the same
Love
film
this.
twice.
Pardon?
Can't watch the same film twice.
No, I don't think you can.
No.
I think because you're part of the film, if you know what I mean. You're who you are, and what you're thinking, and how you feel.
Does it apply to true
They
crime
never get
documentaries?
to this level, do they? On Commode and Mayo.
Oh,
No.
my God.
No,
Do they?
they don't.
They don't. There's no philosophy behind it.
You can't watch the same film twice, and you can't hear the same music twice here on Absolute.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
no repeat guarantee.
I love the way you always TCB,
Yes,
always with the promo.
indeedy.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Can I say, we're still getting a lot of praise in for your show, Frank, and Piers.
Oh yes, oh good. I'm glad because
You're storming it appears.
how can I answer that?
Well, I can,
But
because
Pierre
I've
was
seen
very
it.
good.
You were both fabulous.
Well, you were very good. Now we have to compliment each other, like a kind of
How was
Mexican standoff.
How was I as an audience member? I laughed very loudly.
Excellent. You were the only laugh I heard.
No, not true.
Well, someone said to me, it's quite brave having Pierre as a support, you know, because he's really good. And I said, yeah, but
He can.
he ain't that good.
He is good.
It's a chance to get a double compliment in.
I also think that, you know, he's supposed to be giving people a great night out, so you don't want someone who's, you know, not good as the...
It would be a different type of person who deliberately booked awful support and then came out and went, you see how lucky you are.
Do you
Then
think
I-
people ever do
I always
that?
go for the for
Do
good
some
ones.
comics intentionally do that?
Maybe. Some comics do all sorts of things intentionally that you might find remarkable.
I think I can imagine some comedians doing that.
I'd feel that the audience would turn against me if I did that.
Do you think they'd say, "This is what you think is good, is it?"
Yeah, no, they'd say you knew that person wasn't good and you put them on as a ramp.
Now listen, is how I like to begin a link.
Can I say I've never thought that about any support act? So that's
you haven't.
because I choose well.
You choose wisely. 887. On the topic of films, I first saw the Austin Powers films as a youth.
Ah, yes.
Now, already I feel 887 has nailed this.
Well, I'm interested because I
Okay.
watched Austin Powers about a month ago.
Well, 887 has the mic at the moment.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I decided to re-watch them recently. I thought there must be so many jokes I didn't get when I was younger, and this will be brilliant. It wasn't. Side note, it's my birthday, and as part of my perfect morning, I'm listening live.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
So,
I watched it with Buzz
And?
recently,
Did
my
you?
11-year-old, and it's disgusting.
is it? It really, I hated it. What's
It
that
is.
one with Beyonce? And I don't even want to go there. There's a
Disgusting.
horrible character in the third one. Do you know the one I mean?
Oh, no, I'd only watched the first. Well, I didn't get through the
He's got
first one, but it
flaky skin or
reminded me.
something.
You know when Donald Trump said, "Yeah, it's just dressing room, locker room
talk.
It was very much locker room talk.
It's so silly.
I don't want to, condemn anyone's work, but I hated it. I don't know if that's contradictory in any way. Obviously, people love it.
I was so not expecting the word you used to be disgusted.
It was disgusted. I was disgusted by it.
Do
I
you know
thought,
what?
ay, ay, ay. Stop that. Stop that. Whereas Wayne's World is another big Mike Myers. I love Wayne's World. And that's got some crassness in it, but it's
Frank?
got a heart. You know what I mean?
Do you know what we attempted to watch first time round and didn't like? I recently reattempted to watch it.
Go on.
The Sopranos. Do you know what, Frank? Do you want my verdict?
Still hate it.
Still Dolmio ad.
Yeah.
I think that you guys are underestimating the extent to which the people involved were real members of the mafia. That's
that
what they're
doesn't
like.
That's not acting.
No, does that make it good? No, you should like this better, Frank, because there's real members of the mafia in it.
No.
Oh, well.
No.
That changes everything.
And they just turned up.
I think it shields it from accusations of silliness because you go, these people are silly.
It's
You go,
not- I'm
well,
not
then
sa-
the real people are
I'm
silly.
not saying it's silly.
I
I'm
am.
saying that I found
Very
myself
silly.
thinking, I've never noticed my cuticles come so far up my
We hate
actual
it.
nails.
Well, you don't understand how much we hate it.
Yeah.
Very strange.
By the second episode, I was doing my toenails.
You got to the second episode?
Well, I think I watched about... People said it was a masterpiece. I watched about 4 of them.
Oh, old man in a cap outside of cafes. Yeah, don't
No, I think people... Pierre really likes
I know
it.
he does. I'm sorry, Pierre.
Kids these days have got no attention span.
Well, say maybe I'll watch it when I'm...
Frank, apparently we've got no attention span.
Kids,
What do
the
you say
kids.
to that?
It's the kids
We
these
didn't
days.
like Sopranos.
Maybe I'll watch it when I'm an old...
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yvette Turley, I like the sound of her. Coronation Street matriarch, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
You're not coming in my factory. Janice Nichols was the Brummie
Janice Nichols, yes.
on Jukebox Jury. She had a single out called I'll Give It 5.
Of course she did.
And that's Yvette from West Bromwich. Oh, I love Yvette.
See, she'll remember. Maybe she even knew Janice.
I
in
love the
old
sound
days.
of Yvette.
543 says, after listening this morning, I'm surprised no one's mentioned Top Of, which was a scary monkey on the wardrobe in Pipkin.
Oh, that
monkey
rings a
puppet.
bell. I mean, I didn't really...
I thought it was Fiddler on the Roof.
But I've looked up the Top Of monkey and it's fine. It's quite
Yeah.
a normal monkey puppet.
And you're-
Not like the
and you're-
hair.
and
It's a
you're a-
strange review of the monkey.
You're
it's
a
fine.
harsh
It's fine.
judge.
I'm a harsh judge.
You're a harsh judge of children's characters.
And monkeys.
Yeah.
I still think that's an odd review. Fine.
It's fine.
It's not.
It's your average monkey puppet, guys. What can I say?
What is it? What breed is it?
It looks like a macaque.
Oh, a macaque.
What's your favourite type of monkey, Frank?
Yeah.
I don't mind a macaque. If we're going to spread it to the whole simian ape world,
Please.
I'll do it like a mandrill.
Oh, really?
They come with the collars.
They
Oh, do they?
Yes.
And also they're reversible, of course, because their back parts are the same
you know-
design as their front parts.
Vivid
They're-
hue.
They're
Yeah.
real multitaskers.
That's the name of the one I had as a pet.
Vivid hue.
Vivid Hue, I called him.
Frank, what are the ones? Who was the one that you had a really quite an intense encounter with through the glass?
That was a chimpanzee.
Oh, do you like them?
I think we all love a chimpanzee. I once, I went to a talk about chimpanzees at, I think it was at Whipsnade. And my son, who was about 6, put his hand up at the end. You know, when they say any questions, he put his hand up and said, why do they have pink bombs like that? And the bloke said, well, they sit on them a lot, and that wears the fur away. And I thought that just isn't true. It's a bit more of a mating.
Well, do you think he didn't want to go there?
Yeah, he didn't want to go there, but you know.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's your job, mate.
It's-
Yeah, you can find a way of putting that across. You can wear it off from sitting on. What are you talking about?
We didn't come here to hear lies about chimps.
No, exactly. But Kid
We
puts
want
his hand
that.
up about, and you make them look they're so lazy. They've worn the hair off their backsides. I mean, what are they in a typing pool or something? You know,
Well,
they're on
working
tires.
on Shakespeare.
They're on tires, of course. They're on tires. They're swinging in the air, but somehow
That's the only part that's worn off.
they've worn their.
Fraudster.
Extraordinary explanation.
I was let down. I didn't want to step in because I thought, oh well, is it?
You should have stood up and said, "You tell my son the filthy truth about these apes."
Yeah, exactly.
I want the X-rated
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah, go get the white. I can see a whiteboard in that office. Get it out here. I want the whole. Yeah, the naked truth. Oh, I was let down.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Now, what do you think of this? Rachel Veitch has got in touch.
Beach.
No, Veitch.
Oh,
Or
Veitch.
would you say Veitch? Veitch.
I'd say Veitch.
Okay. She's going to see Frank in Sheffield on her own.
Oh, okay.
No one was available, so I booked on my own. I've
Nice.
wanted to see him for years. I say respect for going on your own, Rachel. Do you?
Yeah, I used to, in my periods of intense loneliness, I went to a lot of shows on my own.
Yeah.
The only thing I was resentful about was intervals,
Oh, yes.
because I sat, there's an Edward Hopper painting of people sitting in a theatre on their own in the interval, and people, you know, you get up,
Yes.
you get to the toilet, but you don't want to be in the bar on your
I
own.
know what you mean. Although, I have to say, increasingly, I don't move from my seat during the interval.
Yeah.
I hate it. I just think this is a lovely time where I can sort of relax. I don't want to be fighting through these people.
No.
Yeah, I find
for
that I'm-
Maltesers.
The venue won't approve of my behaviour because they'll be making zero out of me. Sorry.
I find two men arrive which lure me out of my seat.
2 men.
Yeah, one is called Ben and the other one is called Jerry.
And they've got a tiny tub.
Yeah, I find them
Although,
irresistible.
I find increasingly it's the lone Jude arrives now.
What is
Jude's
that?
ice cream.
Oh, I
has-
don't
Do you not
haven't
know
seen
Jude? The
that.
stripy tub. Oh, it's taken over
Yeah.
from the Ben and Jerry, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Still
I
there.
would miss Ben and
Okay, fair enough.
Benjamin and Jeremiah, I believe they're called.
The Amish ice cream salesman.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been all sorts of controversy about this Janet Nichols from Old
Janice.
Five. Well, 031 says Janice Nichols was from Wednesbury,
Okay.
Wednesbury, which is Walsall, not Brum.
Well, no,
And-
it's
Patrick continues, and she was on Thank Your Lucky Stars, not Jukebox Jury. Frank Skinner, can you sort this out?
well,
please?
as you know, I'm not very inclined to Google, but she might have been. I find those shows interchangeable in my memory. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
Various flaps of cloth arguing with various jumpered adults.
Something like that. Those things like Jukebox Jury, they there was 4 people on the panel. Imagine this now. So one week they just had the Beatles on as the
What?
panel.
What?
I mean, that's a good booking.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they sometimes used to bring people on as a sort of you'd listen, they'd give the review, the guests, and then they'd surprise them by bringing the act on?
I can't remember if they did
I think
that.
there was one. I might. Have
I don't
seen
know
it.
if that
Big
level
surprise.
of cruelty
I
had
think
begun
there
at
was
that.
some cruelty.
Now, of course, you'd have to make them listen to all the comments and.
Oh,
The
yeah.
idea was you hadn't heard the song before, you'd hear it for the first time and you'd talk about it, whether you liked it or not, and give it a score out of 5, which is why I'll give it 5. But she might well have been from Wednesbury, incidentally, if I remember correctly. It's not far from West Bromwich. And the original West Brom football team, when they were called West Bromwich Strollers, not a name you want to give to a modern team. they walked to Wednesbury as a group to buy their first ever football. That's fantastic, isn't it? You know what we need, Joya, if we're going to be a football team? Oh, yeah. I think they sell them in Wednesbury. Come on. Off we go.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, you've been enjoying your tacos this morning. I note. Didn't take you long to get back into the swing of those.
I didn't eat takis for 2 weeks, can you believe it?
Were you in a sort of withdrawal?
Well, I didn't really eat at all.
No.
Takis seemed like a mighty challenge.
Didn't
like
Kath-
eating sticks of fire.
Yeah.
Didn't Kath bring you some gruel or something?
My personal assistant came to my house and made me a very large cottage pie, which this is when I started eating again. I had it every meal for 4 days.
Wow.
That served you well. What happened? I'm always interested in what happened. Did you return the Pyrex? Or have you
I
still
know she
hung on
did
to
it at my house. She made it,
she's no
so
fool.
she used our Pyrex.
So Andrew S. on the subject of takis has been in touch. Long-time listener, second-time tweeter. I love that level of detail.
Very
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, but I trust Andrew S. because he's across everything. Up until a few weeks ago, I hadn't even heard of takis. Now, I see they're trying to muscle in on Pringles territory.
Are they?
Takising over. Okay, Andrew S. Spotted in a local shop in Newcastle. Hashtag snack banter. Oh, what about snack banter?
Yeah,
snack
that's
bants.
he's overstepped the mark.
I like snack banter. It sounds like a
Yeah, but you
character
like
from
Coulsdon.
Game of Thrones. My lord, snack banter is approaching.
Just to put it in perspective, Andrew S., Frank is also the person who tried to get Coulsdon to take off as an
that
expression
is-
for cool.
True, that is true.
I never quite worked out in what context you were going to say it, Frank.
Well, just
How
like-
would you say it? Give me an example. So if I was
Well,
talking to...
in Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson says, OK, Cool and the Gang, as in for cool.
Yeah.
So I thought Coulsdon is better than Cool and the Gang
It's not.
But why do you think that?
because it's one word.
Okay. If that's the metric, then
And
How different things would have been had Samuel L. Jackson said Coulsdon.
that would have been great. It would have been, as you drove towards Coulsdon, there would have been a sign saying you are entering Jackson country and a big picture of him.
holding a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I got him to do my voice message on my phone.
What did he say on
Did
it?
you?
He said, Frank ain't here at the moment.
What?
Don't get leaving no stupid message. It's like all that stuff.
Like an angry answer machine message.
Keith said to me, who's that on your answer phone? I said, Samuel L. Jackson. He said, I don't know who that is. I said, you know him. He's like a big actor guy.
Yeah.
And I said, like, he's a black guy, really sort of rugged. And he said, is he, does he do the Halifax advert? I said, no, that's Howard.
Oh, my God.
Is he rugged?
Oh, my God.
Did it sound like the same man?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's
Oh,
not
dear.
him.
I
Oh,
wouldn't
dear.
ask Howard to commit a hit.
No. Imagine if
Pulp
Howard had been in Pulp Fiction. Oh, man. Where is he now, Howard? Was he a Brommy?
Ooh.
I don't know. Anyway, look, Sarah Champion's up next. Listen to Sarah.
Strange end to the show. What's Howard from Halifax and Brommy? Anyway, on that bombshell.
Yeah. So look, the finals is slightly sad. The final episode of Series 9 of Frank Skinner's Poetry Podcast is out on Wednesday. It concerns a poem by the British poet Martin Bell. If you read about Martin Bell, chain smoker, heavy drinker who just talked about poetry all the time. Sounds brilliant. And it's a poem about Groucho Marx, which I think is fantastic. So check it out. And thanks for listening this morning. It's great to be back. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.